Over the past several months, I've asked you to look beneath the noisy waves. This week, I'm asking you to look beneath the surface of prosperity itself. All of us want to grow our wealth, but that generation doesn't happen without an established framework that allows us to pursue life, liberty, and happiness, or affords us the delegated, self evident, and sacred responsibility of stewardship of prolonging the American experiment of a constitutional republic. Hello, my name is Daniel Young, and this is Adapted Perspective. Every week, we separate currents from noise and opportunity from fear using an income focused strategy and closed end funds. It's not polished, it's not scripted, and it's definitely not herd thinking. We don't chase headlines, we navigate markets. Now, let me be clear, I'm not a financial advisor or a fiduciary. I'm an income hunter, a strategist who filters the noise, follows the data, and targets durable cash flow, even when that means taking a different course. And speaking of a different course, I'm going to do something unheard of for a financial strategy channel. We're not going to talk about the market or the currents this week at all. Instead, we're going to do something so different that many of you will pass over this video, might even lose some followers for it. I'm going to talk about something that few of you have actually heard in full, then show you why it's the second most important document in human history. In honor of the 250th birthday of the United States, I'm going to display and read the entire Declaration of Independence, including the names of all the men who signed the document. I'm going to read it and then send you to the video description for additional content on how America came to be. Every bit of our lives is founded upon what 13 colonies were forced to do in defense of their citizens' lives and in the hope of real, true freedom. The question they were presented was never, should we rebel? The king had already named them traitors and free game, like spoils of a conquest. Their ships, goods, trade, houses, money, women, and children were all fair game to be forcibly used, taken at will, and later destroyed. The king had already hired men to kill his subjects. The only question was whether those 13 squabbling colonies would have the nerve to say out loud that which was already true, and to say it was to die. And not just die by a bullet, to die by the most horrific way possible that man could conjure at the time. To be pulled apart by horses in front of your family in the public square, just like England did to William Wallace. Perhaps you're wondering why this is so important that I would help my normal financial strategy session and take on these other risks. Freedom is the fabric and foundation of our nation, and it only continues so long as we all do our part to keep it stitched together. The visionaries will rise, and we all feel the ongoing struggle to remain free. You know what I mean. There are people inside this country who seek our destruction through division, and people who want us in the USA to fail. If we allow ourselves to be divided, we will be conquered. And all this work we're doing, that you're doing, and seeking prosperity and durable income toward the creation and preservation of a financial legacy will get shredded to pieces. The wolves will tear us apart, feast on our families, and all this work you've done will mean nothing. Freedom isn't free. It's not something you simply win or inherit. It's not that Star Wars bullshit line that says, I have it, my father has it, and my sister has it. If you have it, it's because someone else sacrificed for it, died for it, or both. Continued freedom is expensive. You must be willing to pay for it. In financial terms, it's a dividend payment based upon your willingness to buy the product, no matter what others do to the brand. It's the hope that tomorrow will be better than today. And it's the same hope that somehow we can make this a better place, a freer place for our children and the rest of our country's legal, real citizenry. So, yes, this July 4th, we celebrated our independence from England. But it's so much more than that. Anyone can say those words or write those words, and you don't truly feel them because we're so far removed from the loss, pain, and fear of death from even thinking those words. Signing that declaration was like signing your own suicide note and feeling the weight of risking everything you hold dear to the largest chance game in history. Could farmers beat the world's best military? Probably not. That's what Britain believed. King George looked at America and saw weak farmers. He underestimated cornered men who loved their families and their country more than their own lives. Men backed into a corner and at risk of losing their families to a monster's pride and ego will choose to do great and terrible things to protect those whom they love. I feel the same way about my family, and I know you likely feel the same way about yours. If anyone puts my family in danger, I will do anything to protect my family. So, to put myself in our founders' much more uncomfortable shoes, I completely get what they did and why. I'd join them in a heartbeat. I would knowingly sacrifice everything in hopes of saving my children from being tortured and giving my children a freedom I never knew, even if I died in the process. So, as I read this document, put yourself into those men's positions. Their king had discarded them, hired for, hired foreign soldiers to kill them, had traded away their wives and children for ego and pride, and had labeled them all traitors to be torn limb from limb in the public square. Feel the pain, their fear, and the embedded desire that no one had fully assembled into words yet until this document. So let me change my screen. Interestingly enough, it just now happened to start raining. So if you hear the rain or the thunder in the background, that's why. So this is the transcription of the final document. You should go read the original. It's quite interesting. It's not significantly different, but there is a stark difference between this and the original. So in Congress, July 4th, 1776, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America, when in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable for them, or a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time after such dissolutions to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers incapable of annihilation have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us in many ways of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments, for suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coast, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages, and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections against us, and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our immigration and settlement here. We've appealed to their native justice and magnanimity And we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. Consanguinity. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and do all other acts and things which independent states may have right to. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. And the people who signed it: from Georgia, Button Gwinnett, Lyman Hall, George Walton. North Carolina, William Hooper, Joseph Hughes, John Penn. South Carolina, Edward Rutledge, Thomas Hayward Jr., Thomas Lynch Jr., Arthur Middleton. From Massachusetts, John Hancock. Maryland, Samuel Chase, William Paca, Thomas Stone, Charles Carroll of Carrollton. Virginia, George George Wythe, or With, Richard Henry Lee, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Harrison, Thomas Nelson Jr., Francis Lightfoot Lee, Carter Braxton. Pennsylvania, Robert Morris, Benjamin Rush, Benjamin Franklin, John Morton, George Clymer, James Smith, George Taylor, James Wilson, George Ross. From Delaware, Cesar Rodney, George Reed, Thomas McKean. From New York, William Floyd, Philip Livingston, Francis Lewis, and Lewis Morris. From New Jersey, Richard Stockton, John Witherspoon, Francis Hopkinson, John Hart, and Abraham Clark. New Hampshire, Josiah Bartlett, William Whipple. From Massachusetts, Samuel Adams, John Adams, Robert Treat Payne, Elbridge Gerry. Rhode Island, Stephen Hopkins, William Ellery. Connecticut, Roger Sherman, Samuel Huntington, William Williams, Oliver Wolcott. And New Hampshire, Matthew Thornton. It's just incredible what they did. So Glenn Beck recently said this about people and countries, and he used a little bit of language from the Declaration itself. He said, the truth is that people are what makes countries great. People are in charge of their own life and liberty and property, and governments are instituted among men to protect those rights. And once people understand that, the whole world changes, and it's about to change again. So remember this as you contemplate freedom. Benjamin Franklin said those who would give up essential liberty, and not that liberty is non-essential. It's not that if this is essential and that is essential. It's that liberty itself is essential. So those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Freedom isn't free, and freedom isn't safe. Freedom is dangerous, and we want it that way. You and I are in the fight of our lives, working to offer our families a financial legacy, and that's commendable. But don't stop there. If you're not willing to slog out the politics of what makes this country and its citizens, from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows, dangerously and equally free, then all your work to increase your family's financial freedom will be for naught. People without any understanding will come and offer you safety for a little here and a little there of your freedom. In the end, you'll have neither freedom nor safety. And in that space, the same people will then take your hard work and sacrifice your family's legacy for their own gains and pleasures. Freedom isn't free. Freedom is dangerous. And in the same vein, financial freedom isn't free. Financial freedom is dangerous. Are you willing to be dangerous? And if not, you henceforth knowingly condemn yourself, your family, and your children to the rule of the ignorant and the evil. Most of us don't want to get into politics. And yet, that's exactly the sort of people we need because you understand what's at stake. If you are unwilling to step forward to defend your family in this country and be dangerous, then you've already surrendered, and all your work for something better is pointless. It's just vanity. Fight the fight, or watch your life, liberty, happiness, freedom, family, and finances be torn limb from limb in the public square. And I know that sounds harsh, but it's the truth. And in the wise words of Dr. Sharon from Ted Lasso, the truth will set you free. But first, it will piss you off. So remember, be dangerous and fight for freedom, or watch it disappear and lose everything else with it. And I'll leave you with this. 250 years is a monumental celebration. And I thank God for giving us 250 years as a nation. It hasn't been easy, but we're still here. And after seeing the celebrations and doing our own, the American spirit has experienced a revival. And the country's honor, dignity, and pride is higher than I've ever seen it in my lifetime. American nationalism is a thing again. And no, nationalism isn't wrong. It's a term used by people who hate you and your country. Look at anyone who journeyed into America to support their country's team for the World Cup. All of those people are nationalists for their own country. They're not evil people. They're people who love their countries and their soccer teams. And they came to find America was not what the media said it was. I continue to see video after video after video of World Cup tourists loving America and Americans. Some have even thought about moving to America. Nationalism, pride, respect, and love for your country is good for your country. Americans who are nationalists are people who love America, and there's a lot of us, millions and millions of us. More and more people are proud to be Americans because they've experienced freedom and seen the cost of keeping our freedom and want to help us keep and expand our freedoms. American pride is surging. American nationalism is on the rise, and it's spurring our country forward. We are on the cusp of the golden age of America, and the sun has only just crested the horizon. Like we can see the top curve, maybe even just the top line. The light is bright, some shadows are long, and the best is yet to come. America is on the rise. So may we all do our part to help America continue moving forward and to remain a beacon of freedom across this earth. And if we can do that, if we can be dangerous men and become a danger to anyone trying to keep us down and America down, then our families will take up the freedom torch and carry our legacies into the next 250 years and beyond of this great American experiment called a constitutional republic and these United States of America. And I'm going to say this, and I don't mean it as just simply something to say in a video. Y'all know me. So I mean this when I say it. We're not here without the grace of God. So, God, thank you for what you've done and what you're doing. Thank you that I live in the best country on earth. And I sincerely hope that you continue to bless us as we experience even more dangerous freedom than we've ever known and are blessed to pass it along to our children. Everybody, I wish you a happy fourth. I wish you a great week, but I wish you a happy fourth. So I'll see you next week when we return to currents, the market, and the fight for financial freedom. Um, I wish you a successful week. I've got stuff to do. I know that you have stuff to do. Just think about it all. Remember to go back and view. I'm going to try to list the videos in the description. Hopefully they work. If not, I'll figure out a different way to do it. But think about it. And I know it's easy and more comfortable not to be somebody who's outspoken and not dangerous in the sense that you're going to harm somebody, but dangerous in the sense that you're standing up for someone or you're standing in opposition to someone else. But just realize if you don't stand up for you and your family, that makes you an easy mark for somebody else. It makes you um, just makes it easier for somebody to take what you've really worked hard for. So be dangerous, get involved, back your family, right? And then keep at it. So I wish you a great week. I wish you a successful week, and I will see y'all next weekend. Bye bye. There we go. Video paused. Thank you, Rainstorm. All right. Bye bye.